Hello everyone, this is Seema. On behalf of Jashan Event Management and promoters today, I would like to welcome you all for the book launch of Neelam Saxena's latest book, The Chiseled World. So, as you all know, at Jashan Event, we help authors in their promotion and marketing of their book. So, in this series, we have Neelam Saxena ma'am with us. So, before taking her insight, let me introduce you to her. Neelam Saxena Chandra is an additional divisional railway manager. She has authored 4 novels, 1 novella, and 6 short story collection, 31 poetry collection, and 13 children's book to her credit. She is a bilingual writer in English and Hindi. She holds a record with the Limca Book of Records 2015 for being the author having highest number of publications in English and Hindi. She has received numerous awards and honors in literature and writing. She was also listed in Forbes, one among 78 most popular authors in the country in 2014. With this, I am inviting her for today's session. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Seema. How are you doing?
I'm doing very fine, ma'am. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
I'm sorry if I missed anything from you. Like, you are having a huge bio, and I try to read out what all I could.
No worries, no worries at all.
Okay, so I would like to tell the audience that today for this book discussion, we have 4 other guests too. So, one by one, I'll be adding each of them. So, let me add our first guest, Mr. Subir Kumar Pati. Suvir Kumar Pati. I'm so sorry for taking his name in pauses. And let me tell the audience that he is also the publisher of this book. Hello, Subirji. We
Hi,
are not
Subir.
able to hear you.
Oh, hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello,
Hello,
ma'am.
Subir.
Yeah, welcome, Subirji.
Thank you, ma'am.
And congratulations to you too for this book.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And let me introduce you to the audience. Subir Kumar Pati belongs to Cuttack, Odisha. He is research scholar in chemistry, pursuing his PhD at JBNU, South Korea. Apart from founder of Subaram Publication House, he is one of the founder member of Sneha Foundation, working for orphans and child education in different parts of Odisha. So,
Thank you.
hope I have not missed anything from you.
No, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, so before we start our conversation about the book, let me add another guest. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Padima.
Hi
Hi,
everyone.
ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm introducing you to the audience first. Padmaja Iyengar Paddy, formerly a senior banker and urban governance consultant and currently the president connecting across borders and the vice president Poetry India International, has compiled and edited 6 international multilingual poetry anthologies, of which Amravati Poetic Prism 2016 to 2019 have been recognized by the Limca Book of Records, published by Coca-Cola India as poetry anthology in most languages. A recipient of several awards and prizes, she has 2 published poetry collections, Penchants and Penchants Again. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction.
And with this, let me add Nandita ma'am too. And I'm adding her.
Hi, Nandita.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Let me introduce you to with the audience. Nandita ji works mainly detail Indian women journeys to self-awareness despite gender inequalities and social section. Her books are Glow, Shadow and Soul, If Walls Could Weep, The Perfume of Promise, and Tread Softly, Dread is a book of poems. Welcome, ma'am. Ma'am, I think we are not able to hear you.
Can
Or
you not
maybe.
hear me?
Yes,
I've
We
now
just been
can.
it's.
talking. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am. Now,
Yeah.
now it's. Let me take our another guest. Last but not the least, Pankuri, ma'am.
Hi,
Hello,
Pankuri.
ma'am.
Hello.
Hello everybody. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Let me introduce you to with the audience. Pankuri Sinha is a bilingual young poetess and story writer from India. She has two books of poems in English, two collection of stories in Hindi, five collection of poetries in Hindi to her credit. She has won many prestigious national and international awards. Welcome, ma'am, to the discussion.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I think before this launch moment, let me introduce about the book as well to the audience. Today the book we are going to talk about is the Chiseled World. What I have a short synopsis of the book is there are circumstances beyond our control that often make us feel helpless, vulnerable, and marooned. The protagonists in the collection, the Chiseled World, are also victims of these situations and feel lost. However, following different paths, these characters also come face to face with their inner lighthouse, and an infinite quantum of light begins to shine in their souls. Their ultimate goal in life might change as per their situation, but they find peace which emanates from their heart, mind, and soul. The stories of the Chisel World have been cleverly weaved by the best-selling author Neelam Saxena Chandra around relationship and journey which these characters undertake. So, many congratulations for the book, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sandra.
Thank you so much.
Yes, congratulations.
And with this, I request all the respected guests to please hold the book and let's show on the screen as a token of book launch.
All those who have, because Pankuri must
Yes.
Yes,
not be
actually,
having.
so
I
Oh.
was
I'm
very
not in
lucky to
And
India.
you
receive
have
it
it,
in the
So,
Subir.
evening.
Wow, wow, wow.
I was very lucky to receive it in the evening, you know. I
Yes,
was so
Neelam, it's a
delighted.
wonderful
I
cover.
thought I'd
Yeah.
It
almost miss
feels proud holding the book once
Yes.
again.
very proud, very proud.
Yes. Many congratulations, ma'am.
Heartiest
Thank you.
congratulations, Neelam.
Mhm.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much.
Now I'm inviting Neela ma'am to please give us a bit light on the book so that we can start the conversation with all our guests and discussion on the book.
Thank you, dear Seema. I would like to begin
Thank you so much.
by thanking our esteemed panelists today, mm, uh, our publisher, and my dear friend Seema, Padmaja Iyengar Paddy, whom I call Paddy Ma. We've been associated since long in different ways, like different anthologies, some poetry shows. Nandita I had met during the launch of my first novel, Soul Seekers, and we've kept in touch off and on. And Pankhuri, we've only met online, but we share a great bond. And with Subir, this is my third book. We did an anthology, we did a poetry collection, and now this is a short story collection. And Seema, who has been a long friend. I would, at this juncture, I would also like to thank the artist on whose painting this cover page is based. She's Antara Srivastav, and the designer Rohan Tiwari. And I would also like to thank Raksha Hegde from Hyderabad, who has been my editor since ages for my English books. Now coming to the book. Well, this is one of my most intense story collection, and why I gave it the title The Chiseled World is that a world often appears very much in shape with everybody smiling and laughing. And like if you see social media, you'll see everybody posting such good things that it appears that world is so nice, such a beautiful place to live in. It appears chiseled. However, it is not so. We have to see the tears behind those smiles, and we have to look at various difficulties each of us undergo, each of the protagonists undergo, each of us undergo, because protagonists are nothing new. In my books, at least I've rarely written fantasies. I've picked up stories which, of course, most of them are from my imagination, and some of them could be related to real life, but they are not fantasies for certain. They are realistic stories. However, I always try to bring out the an optimistic end, and I try to show the inner courage through which anybody can come out of any grief. So this has been the baseline. Of course, some endings are not so happy, but then the protagonist is happy with it. So that makes it a story. And I would like to read a page from one of the stories that let me choose The Escape. Did I hear a soft knock at the door? I turned back and saw a lady with a turquoise velvet sari standing right in front of me. The glitter of the sari seemed awful. It was shining right into my eyes. It further made me gloomy. The glow of stars that I'd felt a few moments before had once again disappeared. My life had become dark and murky since the last few days, and even a ray of light saddened me. I was waiting for Geeta in a manner I had never waited for anyone, not even Vishwas. I didn't certainly desire to meet a bejeweled lady with a crown on her head at this point of life. I wasn't even sure if Geeta could actually do something for me. She was my hope in a way, but I had my own doubts. Would I succeed in this attempt to escape from the clutches of Abdul? After all, he was very powerful and well connected, and I knew no one other than Geeta, whom I hadn't even met. We had had a conversation from across the window where she had promised me freedom from the clutches of Abdul, and I had no courage left by then. Frankly speaking, I never had any courage. If I had any, I would have revolted and freed myself long ago. The lady definitely had an aura which was very relaxing. The lady's anklet tinkled, reminding me of her presence, and I asked her, "How did you manage to come through the door? And why are you so dressed up? Are you a part of some drama club?" I'd heard my own calm voice after a long time. I had been only hurling abuses or pleading since the last few weeks. Of course, to no avail. She laughed. "No, I'm not. I'm Draupadi. I've time traveled on coming to know about your agonies. I've come for some heart-to-heart conversation with you, for I thought that you needed them badly." So, friend, these were some lines from the story The Escape from my short story collection, The Chiseled World. Thank you so much.
It seems very interesting, ma'am. And as you said, you always try to bring, positive end. And even I've experienced by reading your books that they always give us positivity and happiness. And there's a lot of positivity in your stories. Like we always take something like there are morals in your stories. So with this, I would like to invite Subir ji to please say a few words on the book, like he's the publisher of the book. So definitely he must be having some, extra comments on the book.
Yes. Thank you, Seema ma'am. Good evening, everyone. So I think this is the first book we have published after I came to South Korea. So it is means like international publishing for me, as I am in South Korea, ma'am is in India. So this is one day, and also we published 3 books for ma'am. So for the first book I was in Hyderabad. In the second book I was in Odisha, and for the third book I am in South Korea now. So all 3 books I have been in different places, and
So for the
it
fourth,
was
you may travel to USA.
yes, I
Yeah.
hope so. So this is the book. Actually, we have done it within a month or so. Ma'am sent me the details, and we have done it very quickly. But I was eagerly waiting for the launch, official launch of this. I think it was planned before, but due to some unavoidable circumstances, we have postponed it. And now it is time. Here is night 1 o'clock. But still, I am awake to just because of this book launch. Ma'am asked me, "Can you join?" I said, "Definitely, I can join. Time is not important for me." So it was a great experience to work with ma'am, and hope to publish more books for ma'am in future. And also I want to tell, within the 24 hour of the book launch, the book got first position in hot and new releases, and also in that best selling book it was in top 3, and it's still continuing like that. So we have a great experience with ma'am, and hope to continue this. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much, Subir.
Subirji. And, with this, ma'am, if you want to say anything to Subirji regarding this.
No, I'm indeed thankful to Subir for joining at 1 a.m.
Thank
So that's very nice of him, and the work done by him is wonderful. There are no mistakes, and I think it went from him to me only once, and everything was perfect. So that's a great way to work. Thank you, Subir.
Now I'd like to invite Pankhuri ji to please say a few words on the book. If she has read, like I think she must have read e-book, and if there's any specific she want to mention from the book.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Seema, and congratulations, big congratulations to Neelam and to the publisher. And thank you as well for inviting me to speak on your book. It's a very interesting one. Of course, I do have the PDF. I am actually joining you from Sofia, Bulgaria. It's a very pleasant evening. It's about 6:45 in the evening. So quite contrary to Suvirji, I am in a very comfortable time zone. And yes, I enjoyed reading the PDF. Like I was reading the book last night, and at about 1, I was, towards the end of it, and I said, okay, fine, I will read the remaining stories in the morning. But then the page had just moved on, and it was another story, and it is so interesting that I ended up, because I read the first part of the paragraph, I ended up reading the story till the end. And I think that basically defines the whole nature of the book. All the stories are very interesting, and they are simple, simply told, artistically told, and at the same time simply told in a very interesting way. They have amazing twists and turns, and they have messages. Like I think Seema was saying in the very beginning, that they have messages. They are not didactic. They are not preachy kind of stories at all. They are realistic, like Neelam was saying, but they have strong messages. At the same time, they're very sort of, close to life. They're about life, and they are full of life, full of lively spirit, and it is as if they will really grip you. So these are some of the things that you can generally talk about, all the stories in this collection, and they are kind of having a same texture and tone, in the sense that they are a lot about relationships, human relationships, and I think that is what makes it so interesting. Like Suviji said, that it is already a best-selling book on the list. So with lots of twists and turns. It has very interesting plots to reveal. Like it will keep you on your tiptoe and you will be eager to find out what's happening. At the same time, there is craft in writing and there is sort of that technique of storytelling is well developed, I think. So some of my favorite stories I quickly want to talk about. I might forget the names of the stories, or maybe I remember the names and I have the plot differently. So I'll just talk a little bit about the stories. Like there is a story called, I think, The Pink Bougainvillea. And I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, the third line is, and he was gone. He was gone forever. And for a minute, the way it starts, you think this is a woman thinking about a man. So who else? It's about a love relationship. And then within 3 or 4 sentences, you are just hit by this sentence which says, after all, and this house was never going to be mine. And after all, he was my stepfather. And then you're gripped in, you're pulled in the plot and you're just reading. And the plot really unfolds in a very sort of dynamic way. It's a very unusual plot where this girl whose mother is actually leaving for a second marriage rebels and chooses to stay with the father. I don't want to tell the whole story. I'll try to not divulge it, but with amazing turns. And how a stepfather can be more than a father is how the story shows and ends. And it's just amazingly done. I don't mean to say that it's just it's just a roller coaster ride or anything like that. It's simple stories of life, with a lot of touching quality to it. And similarly, there are other stories, very many stories, and they're contemporary, very contemporary. There are also those mythological elements, like from the excerpt that Neelam read about Draupadi coming in, and so on and so forth. And there are also pictures of rural parts of India. There are those contradictions between rural and urban life. So I think it paints a holistic picture of our country, and many contrasts, amazing ironies. Some of the stories are just, they're full of these ironies, and they will make you sort of kind of, even if you smile, they'll make you also, really cringe inside, because life is like that. So they're close to life, and they tickle you, they pinch you, and certainly they will keep you, in a sense, on the edge to read. So I think that, I don't know how much time do I have. I mean, I could talk about other stories, because I just want to say that, again, like I said earlier, the great quality is that it's about relationships, and so many of them. Like when I say that it's very contemporary, there is one about this fraud, online fraud. It's so big. I mean, this guy getting into an alumni group and impressing this girl so bad, and it's just it's unbelievable. It's like today's world. I mean, you don't, the nicer technology makes our life, it also puts forth amazing challenges. So beautiful stories. And again, like I said, some stories from rural India, like there's a story again about love and second marriage and stuff like that, and it's about it has an amazing sort of angle to it, that the groom or the boys or the protagonist's mother doesn't allow the wife to come and join him in the town or in the city where he works, and she's just kept in the village. And in the meantime, this guy develops a relationship, and this whole story is again told in the flashback. I think Neelam likes to use that technique. Start somewhere and then telling you the story, and it's not always the same in all stories. It's done beautifully. So amazing sides of both characters, both sexes revealed, and human nature. So I would like to congratulate you again, Neelam. Seema ji, tell me, do I have more time to talk about other stories, or is that good?
No, you can talk about the stories just without revealing actually the the whole story. You can of course talk about. We are here for the discussion only.
All right, great, wonderful. So this is what I wanted to say. This story, this particular one, where the mother-in-law's sort of sternness is revealed, along with the dowry problem. it just speaks volumes about our society today. So basically, these are, I think, comments on the social situation today, the many levels of lives that people lead. The first story is, again, it's sort of touching and to an extent heartbreaking, but also, kind of giving a strengthening message for anybody who has ever faced any trouble, or anybody who has ever faced any trouble, anybody who can identify or empathize with that situation, because these are problems still in our society about, a woman having died in childbirth. And the story, she doesn't actually appear in the story, the first story, the adulation story. And this motherless girl who grows up without actually a proper upbringing. The reason I'm saying that is because, and that's a question that I would actually like to ask Neelam. It's a very powerful story, and we know that these things happen. There are amazing people with amazing sort of nature and behavior and patterns of thought. But this father who is so lost in his ex-wife's love and thoughts and memories that he doesn't properly bring up the daughter, although once she's married, and because of her, own sort of foolishness to an extent, or over eagerness to an extent, she ends up in a difficult situation. Then she realizes that that house was comfortable. At least she was not being abused or beaten or something like that. And my question is, without revealing the story, of course, why does the father not send her to school? I mean, this is, if I had a chance to ask the author, that is, why did you weave the story like that? Because, it
because
seems like,
I wanted means the character which I had in mind regarding the father was he's so lost that he is
Mhm.
not caring for her even a bit. Like if you see her other things also, he hasn't cared. He hasn't bothered. So he forgets that also because his world is limited to his wife,
Yeah,
late
it's
wife.
to basically it's limited to the other world, and this
Yeah,
God comes
yeah.
in the picture and then just takes over. It's quite, yeah, and you have managed to create that sort of atmosphere. So yeah, similarly, there's so many other stories. I mean, I could just go on, but I think I will just stop here and congratulate Neelam again. And it's a wonderful book. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pankuriji, for giving this light. It seems like you have read all the stories, and they all touched your heart. Like that, you are having lot many questions. Like after reading the
Yes,
stories.
if you want me to take one more minute, I'll just say that the story that I stopped at last night is called The Surrender. It's an amazing
Okay.
story. I mean, probably later towards the later part, maybe Neelam would also like to talk about. It's about terror, and it's about so many things. It's about, again, very difficult marriage and relationships. I think a lot of stories are about the difficulties within marriage, and a lot of stories are women centric. So double congratulations, and thank you, Seema.
Thank you
Most
so
welcome,
much,
and thank
Pankuri, for that in-depth analysis. And thank you for reading all the stories. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
That's really beautiful. And this is the art of a writer, like how a reader gets deep into those stories and start thinking about them. Though we know these are the stories, but still we start thinking about them, like what has happened to the protagonist or what has happened to those characters. And this is the quality actually. And I think after listening to Panguruji, so many readers must be thinking about reading the book. Like there are the story is not about just love or relationship, it's about so many things. So with this, I would like to go to Nandita ma'am, and I would like to know from her about the book, and if she has anything to ask from author.
So I have nothing to ask, but before I come to the book, I'll give you a little bit of, I want to say certain things, and I would use this opportunity to say it. Um, as Neelam has already told you, she's one of the first writers I met as, as a writer, because when her book was being launched, it was also the launch of my second book. My first book had just come out a few months before. And, it was really lovely. I mean, my visit to Delhi for the book fair there was the International Book Fair at Pragati Maidan was really, really a fabulous experience. And Neelam is part of that. But more than that, and this is not said often enough in the industry, you know, there are a lot of extremely successful writers. But it's more important than being a famous writer to be a good human being. And that is something that characterizes Neelam. The writing, the career, everything aside, Neelam is a wonderful person to know. And we all know that there are only a few top slots, 10 best books and 10 top writers and 10 successes of the year. So very few slots, and there are thousands and thousands of writers in India. So it's very easy to be a very mean kind of a person, a person who defeats other people to get ahead. But Neelam is not that. And just because of that, anytime Neelam calls me for an event, I would always be there, because there is something absolutely stellar about Neelam, and therefore I'm always going to be a fan, and I'm always going to be a huge supporter for all her endeavors. And may she make more records, may she write more books, and may she do great things. Now, this is a book. Let me just hold up the book. This is a book of short stories, okay? And I have to tell the people who are listening in where short stories remain in India today. About 10 years ago, if you looked at any publisher's page, they would say we do not accept poetry. And slowly over the past 8-10 years, if you notice, only very few short stories, not enough short stories to fill our thirst, are being published by our mainstream publishers. So they constantly say that they just want a few, maybe 6-8 very well-known names to write short stories. And for all other writers, we are being taken away from short stories. And at this point, I really, really want to commend, congratulate, and say thank you so much to Subir for actually believing in the writer's vision and knowing that short stories also have a huge part to play in the sweep of literature that we have today. So this was my little introduction to this, that please keep the short story format alive. Also keep Indian books alive. Like, one of the things I did as soon as I turned a writer, and this may be for selfish reasons, I don't know, I stopped reading Western writers altogether, because our fascination for the white wisdom, is so strong that we completely neglect to be ourselves. We completely neglect hearing our own voices. We don't want to be faced by our own realities. And see where Gitanjali Shree's book is today. It's a Booker winner, and most of us, and we will all read that book only not because Gitanjali Shree is Indian, but because a Western prize has recognized. And that is our tragedy, that we have so much self-hatred thanks to our colonization that we do not want to read our stories. But if you are listening, if you are around, of course, I do read about 5 to 7 books written by non-Indian writers, but mostly my attention is on Indian writing, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, Bangladesh. That is as far as I will go. I want to read of our subcontinental experiences. I don't want to know what's happening in the white world. Let the white people read their books. But if you see the sales in India, it is always that we are selling about 80-85% white books, and or books from abroad, or whatever it is, and only 15% about ourselves. Why can we not read about what's happening in the world around us to our authors? It may seem a little harsh to say this, but it is true. How can we continue writing if our readership is all, sort of an absent readership, is looking for another form of writing? Now that I have finished giving my lecture, let me come to the book itself. Okay. The book is, to me, fascinating because the book is actually encapsulates a woman's journey. It is a book that picks up the woman's voice. It is a feminist book in a very, very large sense. Not that, burn my bra kind of feminism, but, a very true, strong, coming to awareness, coming into your own power kind of feminism, which is fair to everybody around themselves. Now when we read the newspapers or we see the, like, even I think today or yesterday there's been a gang rape in Hyderabad, I just can't take it anymore. What is happening to our country, I just don't understand. But after each of these really sensational crimes that we hear about, we want to know more, but then we are just given a newspaper kind of understanding of those things. And actually, Neelam goes into crime. She goes into cheating. She goes into, suicide and, different kinds of things where, and, also men leading women ahead, women for ulterior motive. All of that, the stories really tell you the stories of what lies behind those gruesome headlines that we read. It could be murder, it could be cheating, it could be, it could be even a simple, like, kind of thing like a terrorist attack, with a bomb. But how does this get prevented within the home? Is, there is one of the stories, actually, I will not let too much out, but that's what she looks at. So Neelam's stories are so grounded in our reality. It is a cross section of what is happening in India today, particularly to the women who bear the brunt of the violence. Now, coming to the, to each individual woman character, what Neelam takes is, of course, they are very young, the ones that I'm talking about. She takes them as at a point of their great innocence and the actions they do out of that form of innocence, and then their journey to a very, very rude awakening. And then how do they then balance themselves from between their innocent past, and that's basically who they are within, and the harshness of the people they love around them. It could be a father, it could be a brother, it could be, it could be in many cases it's a lover or a husband, or somebody whom she's eloped with, all of that. And how does she then grow? So fundamentally, these are stories of women's experiences, of women's arc of growth from innocence to a kind of self-awareness and a growth into her own power. Thank you so much, Neelam, for writing these stories. I think, it would be so wonderful for younger women to read these, because in a sense they are also cautionary tales. These are tales that we tell from our experiences to people who have not seen it yet. Don't trust the guy who is like professing love online. For all you know, like, I was pretty certain he'd be married, for a long part, because that's what people do. They play around with the feelings of those who are innocent and who love you, right? That's how the world works. So I really want to thank you, Neelam, because this book is really a book of wisdom, a book of love, and a book that really, really tells us about India, about the world as it is today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Nandita. We have a mutual admiration society because our meeting at that Pragati Maidan for the International Book Fair, made me your admirer, and we both share that. And I think we've been connecting off and on. And whenever we connect, I think 10, 15 minutes, half an hour is too less for us. So, first of all, thanks for that, for picking up all my calls and encouraging me also. Both of us keep encouraging each other, reading each other. So that's a like big thing, and all authors should do this, is what I feel. Thank you so much, Nandita.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And you have explained so beautifully so many things to us, not about Neelam, ma'am. Like, even I know, and even I appreciate her this habit of being like grounded and, being so humble to the readers and, all her friends and whoever she knows. And on the other side, the point you brought that about the books, even I have this complaint with the bookstores as well. They proudly display in India, they proudly display the books of, foreign authors, in their mainstream books, and they bring out them and they keep them in their, the bestseller books and, best reads and all. They avoid Indian authors, and when books are not reaching to the readers, and how they'll get to know about the Indian authors? If, they start keeping the books, then that would be more helpful to the authors, though publisher try to, make their reach, but still again it depends on the, stores as well. They are charging, huge amount for keeping the books. So this is the issue. But again, coming to the Neelam ma'am's books, like, book did very well. Even it was, in the beginning, even it did well, digitally, and people are reading because they know her way of writing. So, and now I would like, Paddy ma'am is waiting since long. She is also having a lot to say. So, ma'am, I'm inviting you to please talk about the book.
Thank you very much, Seema. And Nandita, that was a wonderful, in depth, what I would call the book review per se. That was a wonderful way every part of Neelam's writing has been very beautifully and very, I would say, succinctly in a way, in the given time, very succinctly, you have brought forth all aspects and facets of Neelam's excellent writing, and especially this particular book. And I was not very sure today that I would be joining this meet at all, because there's a very serious illness in my family. So I was, not very sure. So I had in fact prepared a small note, which I thought, if I'm not able to come, could be perhaps read out here. So I'll just read out from that, if you don't mind, since I had already prepared it, and that would also save time, So I will just, anyway, we have all introduced ourselves to each other, so I will cut out the introductions. And speaking of Neelam's just unveiled story collection, The Chiseled World, I'm delighted to share that I had an advance reading of the book, and I also received the book this evening, and that gave me the greatest delight. To be holding a book in hand is always a very amazing feeling, and I was just so happy to hold this book in my hand in the evening. I thought I'd almost missed it, but luckily, at about 7 in the evening, the book was delivered to me, and I immediately very happily messaged Neelam, I've received it. So thank you, Neelam, for ensuring that the book reached us, all of us, in time. Thank you so much. And
Except Pankuri, who is in Europe.
yeah.
My copy is
But
due.
Pankuri is in another country, so that would be a little difficult. And
Yeah, but she'll return.
Yes, my compliments to the publisher Subirji for bringing out such a lovely publication. And I would like to borrow the words that are given in the introduction to the book. In the beginning pages, which says, the stories of the Chiseled World have been cleverly woven by the best-selling author Neelam Saxena around relationships and the journey which these characters undertake, which is so true. Every story in the book, there is something, we ourselves would have noticed amongst our surroundings, would have observed in our surroundings, or it would be a story of someone we knew. There is something very, very relatable in the stories that Neelam writes always. And they are all very real life, rooted to the ground stories and rooted to the Indian context and Indian reality. And that is something that sets apart Neelam's short stories as well as her novels. And it is always very surprising to me how she manages her time. I always say the way Neelam shifts from one to another role, from the professional to the personal to the publishing to the novel to the poem to the short story collection. The way she does this multitasking is a lesson for all of us who crib about time, who crib about, I'm not able to do this, I'm not able to do that because I don't have the time. Now, where does she find the time and energy for that? That is something we should ask ourselves. The way she writes and the prolific writer that she is, it's a truly amazing feat. For me, it's a feat, really speaking, Neelam. The way you write, the way you publish, and the way you bring out your books, each has something very novel to offer. It's not the run of the mill. It always has something novel to offer. And in that this thing, I offer my compliments and my congratulations, Neelam, for this book. Now, coming to the book itself, I had, because I was not sure that I would be here, so I had prepared a small text which I thought I'll pass on to Neelam. The central character of each story, be it the innocent and somewhat lost, confused and gullible Narayani, or Leher, or Sneha, Pearl, Fatima, or Surekha, how they face the situation they find themselves in forms the crux of their story. In the superbly penned book by Neelam Saxena, each character is finely chiseled by Neelam with her choice of simple words that drive home the point she has chosen to make powerfully and with immense clarity. There is no confusion, and it's a very straightforward story always. And that straightforward storytelling is a very great quality in Neelam that I admire, and I feel all of us should imbibe also. There are no fancy words, no fancy situations given. They're all real life situations and very relatable situations, and that is what I like about Neelam's writing style. Personally, I could totally resonate with these liberating and inspiring words from the short story Adulating the Stones. She looked at the stones which her father used to call as God and worshipped them. Throwing them outside her house, she said aloud to herself, God is in our hearts, not in these stones. And I have learnt it the hard way. Oh God, give me the strength to restart my life and always let me remain compassionate and let me never give up. Now, these are not words from one particular character. I think this is a prayer we all have always, that let me never give up in life. Let me face all the challenges in life and let me always remain compassionate. I think these words seem like a prayer to me, and compliments Neelam for that. Narayani, Leher, Sneha, Pearl, Fatima, and the other female characters. What a journey of self-discovery for these central female characters in each short story to build the courage within them for taking that final, decisive, bold, and liberating step that empowers them and shapes their future. Each of these characters etch a profile in courage in our memory and will surely linger for long within our psyche, maybe become a reference point for us at some stage in our own life. Am I there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I thought perhaps I'd missed out. And then there is Kavya and there is Diana. These are the characters which, I was very fascinated by as I read the book. I mean, I also had a PDF, but luckily I got the book in the evening, so I was quickly glancing through the book as well. Nothing like holding a book and reading it, I'm not too fond of reading the PDFs. So I was quickly glancing through the stories, and Diana, Kavya, these are all characters I was very fascinated by. And salutes to Neelam for having conceived of such characters, for having, and given them, a flesh, a story of their own, a life of their own. It was really very fascinating, Neelam. Kudos to you. She fleshes out various facets of women characters in her book that are primarily shaped and driven but the behavior of the men around them. This is another thing I found, it is the men, who create, drive women to where they are, to how they are, how they, reinvent themselves in the future. So these are the kind of, women are being driven by men to behave in a certain way and in a way empower themselves. So, the character of men is also very beautifully, uh, etched by Neelam in her books. So we know the men and we know the women and the characters, and the way they behave, their behavioral patterns, how they, then create the characters and how they proceed in life, how they shape up in future and what happens to them. And all these things, keeps the reader engrossed, thoroughly engrossed. It's like an unputdownable book. That's what happens. It's a short story collection. You can read one story now, one story later. But then the writing style of Neelam is so gripping and so powerful that when we have picked up the book, we want to know what the other stories are all about. So that is something, it's a very amazing quality. It's a very, the ability to engage the readers is something Neelam possesses in abundance, and that's my salutes to you, Neelam, for that. The engaging manner in which you tell your stories is something amazing. And as rightly said by Nandita, short story writers are not very many. And as she also rightly said, very difficult to find publishers for that. And that you are able to, bring out such books and, engage your readers with such wonderful short stories is something amazing. And again, my salutes to you, Neelam. And, there's one particular line in one particular short story, Surrender, which I think Nandita also spoke of, saying she would be reading. Or was it Pankudi? I don't remember. And, this particular line in that book, completely fascinated me. It's not only the tormentor who is at fault, it's also the sufferer, isn't it? See, this is what a female protagonist says, and it is so true. Until we are driven to the wall, we women have a habit of taking abuse to the maximum extent. I mean, most of the women in India, they take abuse to the extent, till they are driven to the wall, they take. In fact, even sometimes even their head is banged against the walls, and still they take it. So it is, this particular line, just hit me completely. I was, I wouldn't say shattered, but I was, it was something like an eye opener kind of a line for me in the entire book. I was very fascinated by this one particular line in the book. I have read all the books, all the stories, all the 15 stories I read. Because as I told you, I thought I'll read one story now, one story later. But when I took up the book, the PDF, it was absolutely unputdownable, like a book. So that was the wonderful thing about Neelam's stories. And I was absolutely, completely gripped and engrossed with all the stories, because somewhere, and I'm a very old person, so, and I have worked in a bank also. So I have seen, some of the people, some relatable characters in my own life, in my own profession, in my own, social circles. I've seen some people like this in my life too. And the empowering way the Neelam has her stories to tell is something very nice for the women, and especially women. So thank you, Neelam, for that. And it's a short story collection that totally grips the attention and is sure to receive a very far and wide reach and readership. So I'm sure the stories of Chiseled World are going to reach very far and wide and empower quite a few women, Neelam. And thank you for that. And thank you all for the patient hearing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
ma'am.
And I know the reason which you were undergoing, means the trauma which you were undergoing since yesterday. So I'm really grateful to you for still coming for the launch. Thank you so much.
We were expecting some bad news this evening, Neelam, because my sister has gone into a very bad situation right now. So that's the reason I was not sure I would be able to join you all, but I'm glad I'm here, and please pray for my sister.
Sure.
Thank you.
We'll all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for being there with us and, bringing this.
Neelam always calls me Ma, and how can a Ma not be there at her daughter's, book launch?
That's really, really very beautiful about this thing. And so with this, I would like to, know from all the guests if anybody has anything to ask from Neelam ma'am.
I'm feeling like a student who is being
Subirji has
surrounded
something
by
to.
a, but I
Introspection.
don't
Subirji wants
mind.
to ask something, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I
Yes, sir.
already asked my question, but what I wanted to say, and maybe perhaps I will also write a short review later when I'm back and once Neelam sends me the book as well. But, it's a wonderful thing as well if a story leaves you with a question as to why this happened or why is the world like this. I think we are all talking about the same thing. And you have, put together an enormously beautiful set of stories, very inspiring in so many ways. So, I mean, congratulations again. That is all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for that in-depth, analysis of so many stories. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Thank you to you. And it was wonderful to listen to all of these eminent writers and Daddy Ma'am. I, of course, admire myself. We have been together in so many online events. I've only met everybody online, and I hope that I will get to meet you offline as well. So
This online thing has become a boon for us. We are reaching in a manner which we didn't earlier. This is such a simple thing. Sitting from the comforts of our home, we are reaching
yeah,
across countries, across people, across so many time zones and all that. So it's absolutely
yeah,
amazing and wonderful. And thank
yeah.
you. And there's one question I wanted to ask Neelam
Yeah.
about how you write, Neelam. How do you develop your characters? How do you do it?
Different
You're going to
characters get
ask me.
developed. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Different characters get developed in different ways, sometimes by observing something, sometimes by reading some news in a newspaper, because as you know, I haven't watched television in the last 23 years.
3 years, yes, I read that.
24 now, 24 years. So my imagination power is a bit strong, is what I can say. And for example, adulating the stones. This story was born, I'll say born, because a story is born.
Yes.
So this I could conceive while I was sitting in Goa a few years ago, and that time I didn't write it down, but that idea stayed with me because that sea beach had a lot of stones, and I could see a small temple there. So somehow I was thinking of somebody who's always worshipping these stones, and the story came about. So different stories have different kind of things. Like one day I was just walking, and we have a lot of pink bougainvillea plants here in our colony. So I was watching that, and I was thinking of what story this creeper could carry. So the bougainvillea was born. So that way, different situations give rise to different things. uh, and I can never say when and how I will write. For example, I'm just recollecting a poem. When I cross the road from while coming out of my office, I see a man who is always begging, and he has a very nice coat and a hat. So I always wonder ki if he's so rich, why is he begging? So there could be different reasons. So now those possibilities give rise to a story. So a story, poem, whatever it is. So I think you all are great storytellers and poets, and you must also be going through such feelings. So I also go through the same.
Absolutely. Very beautifully.
I have
It's
a
the way you
question.
perceive, that's something very fascinating, Neelam. And Again, my compliments to you. Yes, I'm sorry, Nandita, I interrupted.
I have a
Yeah,
question for Neelam. Okay, Neelam. Now,
yeah.
now I know that you're a bilingual writer. You write in Hindi as well as in English, and you write poetry, short stories, novellas, and novels. Now, when you have this inspiration, how do you know which category will that story go into? Will this be a poem? This little story that I'm seeing in front of me, and this thing that's growing, is it going to be a story, a novel, a novella, short story? How do you really categorize it, as you start writing? Have you ever made a mistake and said, oh no, this, I'm writing it as a short story, but this would be better as a poem? Has that ever happened?
That happened once. This was for my second novel. Can I have this chance? I wrote a short story, and then I felt no, this needs in-depth analysis of everything, every thought, every character. So I built it up into a complete novel.
Wow.
Other than that, there has always been a clarity. I don't know from where it comes, but there has been a clarity that I want this to be a short story. I want this to be a novel because for a novel, as far you are a literature student, Pankhuri is a literature student, but I'm just an engineer. But I feel that for a novel, there should be several complications, different things, different point of views. Then only you can write a good novel.
Yeah.
However, for a short story, you have to think about one character, and the other characters just are supporting the main protagonist, supporting or alienating, whatever. So those thoughts are, I think, there in the background, but there has been a clear cut clarity on what I'm going to write nowadays, since last maybe 10 years.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Subiji, do you have anything to ask?
No, nothing. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. In fact, I would like to thank you all the eminent writers and Subiji for joining us, and it's an honor to welcome you all to this session, and hope we'll see you again. And with this, I would like to tell all the audience that book is available on Amazon, and soon you can find it at the leading bookstores as well. We are trying to make it reach over there. And again, even I'm ma'am is showing, Paddy ma'am is showing book to the screen, so it's me. And Neela ma'am, again, many congratulations and best wishes. And we have already reached to make it bestseller, and we'll try to keep that in a role like it will be
Thank you so much.
even at the bookstores.
Yes. I'm sure this
Thank
book
you
will
so
have
much.
very wide reach and
So with
readership.
this, yes, with this, I would like to bid a bye to all the guests and to the audience.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
so much.
Thanks
Thank you
for
so much.
having me. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much. And
You're
Thanks
Neelam,
welcome.
to,
Anytime,
it's the
ma'am.
very
It
best
was an
and
honor.
blessings.
It was an honor
So,
to have you all at this
the best
platform.
part of this evening is all the panelists are my friends.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm really blessed to have all friends, and it was such a nice discussion, and so many points came up, and I'm really grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Completely
much,
agree
ma'am.
with
Thank you so
that.
much.
Thank you so much for
Yes,
having me.
Okay. Bye,
yes.
everyone. Good night.
and
Bye.
good
Good
night.
night.
Bye.
Night,
Good night.
everyone. And best wishes and blessings, Neelam. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.